How's everyone doing? Just going live on Facebook as well. Do you have advice for being vegan? Yes, that's why I'm here. Just give me 1 second to get started. And yeah. All right, let me set up Facebook. Let me just leave a comment in here. Post and pin to the top. Let me know where you're watching this from. Which city? Something's going on with Facebook as always. Los Angeles, California, San Diego, Austin, Texas, Brazil, Sydney. Okay. I'm just having some issues with going live on Facebook. Trying to figure it out. India, Chile. Hi, Marisha. I think this is good. All right, we're live on Facebook as well. Hello, everyone. Melbourne for the first time, nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us. All right, so for those of you who have no idea what this live stream is about or what AV is about, AV or Anonymous for the Voiceless, which is the page you're following on Instagram, is an animal rights organization that focuses on street activism. What we do is we show people the footage that we have from meat, dairy and egg industries that shows what happens to animals that are killed for food, or in other industries, for example, for clothing, experiments, entertainment and other industries where they use and abuse animals. And we have conversations with the public about this, and we try we help them to go vegan if they want to. So we give them information about veganism, and then if they want to become an activist and speak up for these animals, we also support them through that. And our campaigns are called, the main campaign that we do is called Cube of Truth. So that's basically what we do. Hey Laura, we've got 2 Lauras. Paul and I are good. You look very pretty today. Thank you, Laura. I hope you guys are good too. I hope everyone's doing well wherever you are. We just went into lockdown again here in Melbourne, Australia. we were just coming out of lockdown, so like gyms started to open, some businesses that were closed started to reopen, restaurants started to operate again, obviously with social distancing, but things were slowly going back to the way they were. And then as of Wednesday, we went back into lockdown, and that means that we can't leave the house unless we go for something essential like doing our shopping or going for a workout, or if you're going to see like a family member that you're providing care for. Other than that, you are not supposed to have anyone visit you in your house. You're not allowed to have any public gatherings, anything like that. So that's where we're at in Melbourne for the next 6 weeks. So we actually had a cube scheduled for, I think it was 16th of July, so next week, and we had to cancel that one, unfortunately, because public gatherings are limited to only 2 people, meaning you can have 1 cuber, 1 outreacher, and nobody is allowed to get close to have a conversation with us. So basically not possible. All right, so this is I wasn't feeling well. I think, when was it, earlier this week, when I had a Q&A scheduled, so I had to cancel that one. And this one is supposed to be an interactive workshop. So let's start with the workshop, and then at the end I'm happy to take questions as well, but feel free to help me with questions that we use for the interactive workshop as well. So for those of you who haven't done one of these workshops before, the way it works is that I will bring up some of the most common arguments that non-vegans use as an excuse to avoid going vegan, and then we discuss it together. So I'll ask the question and you can all help me with responding. You can send, you can post a comment basically, and I'll go through as many comments as I can, and then I'll add to the responses as well if there's anything left, and then we'll move on to the next question. So that's the interactive workshop. And then at the end, if there is time, then I'll be happy to take questions from non-vegans or from vegans or from activists if they have any questions. So I know that we have lots of non-vegans watching this live stream now, so let me know in the comments if let me know what is keeping you from going vegan. I think that would be also a good way to do this workshop, so we can use their arguments and we can work on those arguments together. So to anyone who's a non-vegan, who is not vegan yet, let me know why you're not vegan. Let me know what your reasoning is. And then we can start. We can start with the questions in a minute. And if you have any questions about activism or veganism, if you can just keep it for the end of the live stream, that would be awesome. Okay. Laura said, I'm doing my first cube on the 18th. Hudson will be there. Awesome. 18th of July. Oh, nice. So you guys are allowed to start cubing again. That's awesome. And another thing is that I learned that in America, you're actually allowed to travel. So you're allowed to take a flight to another city. Well, maybe, I don't know if that's for all states, but here in Australia, they have actually closed the borders between each state as well. So like, for example, we're not allowed to go from here to Sydney. So it feels very, it feels actually worse than before. It feels like we're seriously in lockdown and yeah, we can't go anywhere. Okay, let's go through the comments from non-vegans. Let's see. If you want to leave a comment, you can either just drop a comment on the live stream, or there is a question button underneath on the bottom of the screen, so you can send your arguments in there as well. Right, let's see. Okay, first argument is, I need iron in my life and I don't really have the money for vegetarian food. Obviously they mean for vegan food, meaning for plant-based food. So how do you respond to someone that says, I can't go vegan because I need iron? And I guess this is two questions in that one comment. So one, someone that says, I need iron, so I can't go vegan. And then another question, a separate question would be, I don't have the money for plant-based options, so for plant-based food. So one, iron though. Two, expensive. Veganism is expensive. How do you respond? Ah, okay, so in states quite similar. Yeah. It feels like this whole year has been just wasted on COVID-19. We haven't been able to do much activism on the street. I'm hoping that we can just get back on the street in the next couple of months. We thought that everything's going to be going back to normal in July or August, but now we're actually in lockdown until the end of August, meaning things might get a little bit better after that, and it's probably going to take months for us to get back to the street. So very sad. Your work for the animals is amazing. Thank you so much. We had our return cube 2 weeks ago here in Adelaide. Very successful. Awesome. That's so good to hear, Sarah. So yeah, I don't know why every state is different. All right, so again, first question is, how do you respond to someone that says, I need iron in my life, so I can't go vegan? And how do you respond to someone that says, I don't have the money to buy vegan food, it's too expensive? You can either drop two separate comments, or you can just write both responses in the same comment. Okay, what did I do? John said, I respond with, do your own research. A bit vague, but okay. Katie said, if you want cheap vegan iron, then lentils. Spinach has tons of iron and you can do so much with it. Sam said, really nice to see you. We have lost 8 months of activism. Yeah, it's almost a whole year basically without any activism. Sarah said vegan can be as easy as just eliminating animal products and upping vegetable intake. Especially made vegan food is not necessary. Andrew said, when cruelty-free foods become more common, I would like to think that prices will lower. It's a collective process. Donna said, eat iron-rich veggies. Rami said, 1, get a blood test to see your iron level. Take vegan supplements if you need to. 2, vegan food is the cheapest food. Rice, beans, vegetables, fruits are cheap. Beautiful. Laura said, you can get iron from plants. If you are that worried, you can always take a supplement. Also, beans, rice, pasta, bananas, potatoes, and various other foods are very inexpensive. Do you think taking the life of others is worth you not doing what you can to be vegan? Beautiful. Rice and beans are super inexpensive and healthy. I tell them that it's not more expensive, 80 cents for a can of beans. Exactly. I usually have a list with me and I show them. We get it like the animals right from the source. Sources of iron are lentils, chickpeas, nuts, greens, and pumpkin seeds. There are plenty of other plant foods that have iron too. Good morning to you in Germany. It's only expensive when you buy pre-packaged. Substitute whole foods is much cheaper. Yes. Prices will be lower as demand increases, but whole foods is cheaper. Yes. I wonder if this setup is actually good. Maybe I should move a little bit. Sorry guys. Just want to move. I just want to ask everyone on our Instagram, AV's Instagram, if you see comments from non-vegans and they're just trolling, please just ignore them, because it becomes very crazy in the comment section to the point where I can't really find relevant comments. So let's just leave them and they can just listen to what we're talking about. I'll try to respond to as many comments as I can. If you want to outreach the ones that you feel like genuinely they're interested and they're asking questions, go for it. I would appreciate it, but don't just get into a shit fight with people in the comment section. Just ignore them. Because we know that some people just want the attention. So, any more comments? Tam said, eat a rainbow, no supplements needed. Dark leafy vegetables such as broccoli, beans, and grains are all great sources of iron. Recently, I have started growing sprouts such as beans and broccoli sprouts, a great source of natural iron. Otherwise, take a supplement and save lives. You can get everything you need from plants. Hey Paula, thanks for joining. So the question is, 1, what do you say to someone that says, I need iron so I can't go vegan? 2, so it's 2 parts because somebody actually asked. Their second part, the second part of their question was, I don't have enough money, it's too expensive to be vegan. So 2 questions. I asked them, where do you think the animals get it from? We don't need recycled iron from a tortured being, which is actually not healthy for us. Perfect. That's what I was waiting for. Thank you, Alex. I really appreciate your support. If you have any questions that are not relevant to the current question, I'll be more than happy to take them. Just send them through the question button and I will respond at the end of the live stream, because now we're doing the workshop and I do want to stay on topic. I don't want to get distracted. So any more responses for this question about iron and vegan food being expensive? Stephen, wouldn't it be better to inject yourself with supplements directly than to kill someone for the supplement that they were injected with? Anyone that joined us just now, you can see there's a pinned comment. You can see in English and Spanish, and that explains who we are and what we do. Vegetables are no more expensive than meat and dairy, yes. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna add my response to this question and then we can move on, because I can see a few arguments on top of what we discussed, so I'd like to cover those. So the question was, how do you respond to someone that says, I need iron so I can't go vegan? So they're suggesting that you can't get enough iron on a plant-based diet. The first point to make, which someone did make this point, is to ask them, where do you think these animals are getting their supplements or their minerals, their vitamins, their iron and B12, etc. If a cow is eating plants, because the animals that humans eat are all animals that are only eating plant-based food. They're eating crops, they're not eating flesh. So cows, chickens, and pigs, what do they eat? They do eat plants. So if they can get their protein, iron, everything from plants, so can we. That's the first point. The second point is, when we're talking about things like B12, all of these farmed animals are injected with B12. So instead of eating someone's flesh who was previously injected with B12 or other supplements, how about you go directly to the pharmacy, buy yourself either an injection or an oral supplement, a tablet, a spray, whatever it might be, to get your B12, for example, if you need it. And the other point is, if you are eating a balanced whole foods diet, meaning you only eat whole foods, so no processed food, no none of the plant-based meat options and all the fatty junk food. So if you're actually eating a healthy diet, which is only made up of whole foods, then you won't need any supplements because you're getting everything that you need from plants. You get enough protein, calcium, iron, everything you need. So you won't even need to go and take supplements. The next point is, anyone who is concerned about their low levels of iron or B12 or anything else, they should first go and do a blood test to make sure that they do need to take that supplement. So a lot of times people assume that as soon as they go vegan, they're going to need to take some kind of supplement, but you may not need it. For example, with B12, you can store B12 in your body for up to 7 years, depending on your age, your genes, etc. So it may not apply to everyone, but I think it was Laura last time, she said I didn't, or maybe it was Stacy, I can't remember. Someone said I didn't need to take B12 for over 10 years. So you may not need to take any supplements. Don't just assume that you need it because you're vegan and then you're taking too much, because some of the supplements are actually harmful. If you take too much of some of these minerals and vitamins, you can actually damage your body. You don't want to go above the normal range for iron, for example, or vitamin D or B12. So B12 I think is fine. But first, do your blood test. Make sure that you do need supplements. Unless you're severely low in iron or another mineral or vitamin, the better way to address that would be to fix your diet first. So make sure, even though you're vegan, that doesn't mean you're healthy, because you could be eating vegan junk food. So make sure you're eating a good balanced diet, which is whole foods. Do that consistently, maybe for a few months. And then if your iron level or calcium or whatever is not up to the normal range yet, then you can go and find a supplement. First, look for supplements that are vegan. And if you can't access any supplement that's vegan, then you might need to take a pharmaceutical supplement that is probably been tested on animals, and it might even contain some kind of animal ingredient. So it's best to avoid that if you can. But better than that, better than taking any supplement, is to first address your diet. So make sure you're eating a balanced diet. But going back to that comment, even if it comes down to your body not absorbing iron properly, or you're just too lazy to eat a balanced diet, it makes more sense to just get a vegan iron supplement and take that, instead of stabbing someone to death just so you can eat their flesh and get the iron from their body. Now, the second part of the question was, what about people that say veganism is expensive, so they don't have money to pay for vegan food? Okay, so what's vegan food? Vegan food is anything that comes from a plant. Potatoes, rice, grains, other grains, like bread, like oats, like wheat products, anything that comes from grains. Beans, like lentils and black beans and kidney beans and chickpeas, and all the vegetables. How many thousands of vegetables and fruits do we have that we're not even aware of? So nuts, seeds, that is a plant-based diet. And a whole foods plant-based diet not only is the healthiest diet, is also the cheapest. So if you're eating rice, beans, vegetables, bananas, things like that, that is way cheaper than any other diet. Now, if you choose to go for the plant-based processed food, like the plant-based bacon, the plant-based chicken, the plant-based ice cream, the plant-based cheese, of course that's going to be more expensive than eating a whole foods diet, but even that is not more expensive than buying animal products. It's probably on par with animal products. If it's not, it's because there is not enough demand for vegan products just yet, because the majority of the population is not vegan yet. So we need to create more demand, and therefore the prices for these vegan products will be cheaper. The reason why you would think that some animal products are affordable is because there is government subsidies to cow's milk and the flesh of animals. So that's why they're affordable. If they were to stop supporting these industries, the prices will go up maybe 5 times or 10 times of what you're paying right now. So keep that in mind as well. Now, going back to the question about veganism being too expensive, I did explain what your response should be, but before you get into that, you do need to make a point, because remember, we always want to focus on the animals. We don't want to ignore their objections. We don't want to like avoid responding to genuine concerns or questions, but we do always want to make a point about how veganism is about the animals and respond and then bring it back to the animals. So if someone says veganism is too expensive, you talk about how if you believe that animal cruelty is wrong, you're convinced that animals shouldn't be treated like this, then you will find a way to do it. And we all know that as a vegan, you would be willing to eat just rice and beans for the rest of your life if it came down to that. There's no way you're going to go back to stabbing animals to death. So you want these people to be convinced 100% so that they're not going to go back to eating animal products. First, you need to make that point so that they're aware what veganism is. Veganism is not just a trendy diet or a lifestyle. Veganism is a stance you take against animal cruelty. So they need to be aware of that. And then after you make that point, you can explain to them what we just talked about, which is, a whole foods diet is the cheapest diet on the planet, etc. And again, bring it back to the animals at the end. So I'm just going to quickly go through the comments to see if there is anything to add. So many comments. So Paula said, I would just add something for the second part about expense. I'd ask where they live and offer to connect them to a vegan who lives in the same demographic to help them with cheaper options. Yeah, that's a good idea. The only thing is, I feel like we don't need to be babying people. So we don't really need to hold their hands and, do everything for them. Everyone nowadays has access to internet and they even have a phone, so they could just go on Google and look things up. If they say if there's a will, there's a way. So like once you decide you want to be vegan, you'll figure it out. Just like many of us did. Nobody was holding my hand when I decided to go vegan. So that's my only concern. Like, we don't want to baby them too much. Yes, give them all the information, but also tell them, use Google as much as you need to. All these resources that we have on our website. Go and do your own research and you make it happen. Rami said being vegan is more masculine. You are a protector of other animals that may not be able to protect themselves. I would have to disagree, and also that's irrelevant to what we're discussing. I don't think that's got anything to do with being masculine or feminine, just like a lot of non-vegans think you're a weak ass pussy if you go vegan as a guy. they think men that are vegan are just weak, and I think that's just a stereotype, and it's obviously wrong. So it's not masculine or feminine to protect, it's not even protection, it's just respecting other people's lives or other individuals' lives. That's why you go vegan. It's got nothing to do with that. Okay. Any more responses to add to these questions? All right, let's move on to the next question. So again, I'm going to use the arguments from non-vegans on our page. Let's see what they have for us. All right, quickly, while I'm finding a good argument, how can I join AV? Anyone who wants to join us, you go on our website, cubeoftruth.com. You can see all of the locations for our chapters. So there's a map, you can put in your location, you can see nearby chapters, and then you can click on that chapter. It will take you to a Facebook group. You answer 3 questions, you join the group, and you'll see the future events, and you can join us. So you don't need to RSVP, you don't need to prepare in any way. You can just attend whenever you can. Just make sure you do read the event description, because you might need to bring your laptop. If you have one, you might need to download the footage, and that's it. And we ask that you wear black if you can. But the masks, signs, cards, everything will be provided. All right, let's use this argument. What do you say to non-vegans that they say they tried to go vegan in the past and it made them really sick? So how do you respond to someone that says, I did go vegan for 6 months, but I got really sick and unhealthy, so I went back to eating some animal products? Hi Sylvia, thanks for joining. Yes, we are in lockdown in Melbourne, but some of our chapters around the world are still operating. So we have some chapters still operating, and then people can still join the Facebook groups, and then once we start doing cubes again, they can attend. Is it a must to wear long pants to a cube of truth? Absolutely not, Russell. The only thing we ask in terms of your apparel is that you wear black if you can, and if you don't have anything black and you show up in a grey t-shirt, we're not going to ask you to go home, but that's our preference. Also, we ask that you don't wear anything with a clear vegan message on it, something that's too obvious. We ask that you don't do that, so just go for plain black. And in terms of other things, you're allowed to wear long pants, shorts, a skirt, a dress, whatever you like. We don't have any limitations. Paul said, people who are sick didn't eat the right foods, I think. Audrey said, I asked if they got their blood tested and if they tried to fix it. Many pre-vegans are more sick. If they got sick, it's like any diet, they did not research nor eat correctly. Yes. Vegans have more protein than carnivores. I first kindly asked them how long, I love that you say kindly, John, how long they attempted. Then I proceed to tell them it takes time. I start by going veg, then plant-based, then vegan. Okay, that's cool and everything, that was your process, but at a cube especially, we don't ever promote that. We don't ever promote baby steps, vegetarianism, being plant-based, meatless Mondays, nothing less than veganism. So if you are representing us at a cube, I hope that you don't use that line. What you asked at the beginning is perfect, asking them how long they did it, and like someone said here, if they were tested, if they did the blood, if they didn't just feel like they were feeling sick. So those are important points, but we don't want to ask people to take little steps and make adjustments, because again, veganism is not about our health, it's only about animals and their right to live. So if you're convinced that animal cruelty is wrong, you don't need to take any steps, you just go from non-vegan to vegan. If that person that we're talking to decides to go vegetarian first and then plant-based, etc., like you did, then that's completely up to them. But it shouldn't be because it was something that we promoted as activists. It's just not fair on the animals, because usually people do less of what we tell them anyway. So if we say it's okay to be vegetarian first, take your time, they're probably going to eat meat every now and then as well as being a vegetarian. So if you say being plant-based is okay, then they may take their time, and they may support products that are tested on animals and they still wear animal skin, and they only adjust the diet, and even with that they might eat honey and other animal products sometimes. So we should always promote a clear vegan message, and then if that person decides to do less than that, that's on them. Yes, I can't wait to do outreach. Anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, the good thing about Instagram is that it has that option. So I've actually posted the question in the bottom. You can read that question, and that's what we're discussing right now. So again, the question is, what do you say to people that say, I did try to go vegan, but I got really sick? If your reason for becoming vegan is to save the animal suffering, you will make it work. I would just like to add something there, Sheila, which is the only reason why you go vegan, because otherwise you're just being plant-based. So you do go vegan to end animal suffering. There are endless resources regarding diet and health, and your GP will refer you to a dietitian if you ask. Yes. I don't think people eating plant-based get any more sick than people who eat animal products. Okay, so of course, the point is not whether we get sick or not. I think we all know that that's just an excuse. They didn't actually go vegan. They tried plant-based food maybe for a few weeks or a month, and then they got sick of it. Not that they got sick of it because they were doing it for the wrong reasons. But of course, if you visit hospitals, most patients are not vegan. Not that vegans don't get sick. Like, we can all catch a cold and we can get viruses. But especially if you eat a whole foods diet, your immunity system is much stronger, so you'll be able to fight viruses and diseases way better than anyone else. So that's the only thing. But if you're a junk food vegan, you'll get sick. No question. Laura said, you obviously weren't eating properly. If you want to stop abusing animals, you will find a way to go vegan. You can always use Google to get info about complete diets, but in the meantime, think about all the harm you are doing to the animals by not being vegan. Beautiful. You aren't against rape on Mondays only. That's what I tell people to help them connect, for example. Yes, beautiful. That's when we're talking about baby steps, that's exactly what we should be using. Rape, racism, sexism, any other form of injustice, or any other form of oppression. We should make that comparison. If someone says, okay, I'm going to start taking steps and I'm going to slowly transition to veganism. No, that's not good enough for the animals. If you're a rapist, you're not going to stop raping people 5 days a week and then 2 days you make an exception. If you're a racist, you're not going to say, okay, now I don't want to be a racist anymore because I know it's really bad, so I will only be a racist on Saturdays. That's not how it works. So we should approach this just like any other injustice. And again, if people want to do less, they will do that. It shouldn't be because an animal rights activist told them that it was okay. Okay, any more responses about people that say, I did try going vegan, but I got really sick? Some of these comments, I don't understand. Are these people real? Okay, this is another response. Really, what sort of sickness? Maybe you weren't eating enough variety and getting enough nutrients because of that. The WHO has claimed that a plant-based diet is suitable for all people. Beautiful response. I quickly want to respond to this question. Is being a vegetarian okay instead of being vegan? No, it's not, because when you're a vegetarian, you're only avoiding the flesh of animals. You're still supporting the dairy and egg industry as well as other industries. You might still be wearing animal skin, like leather shoes, leather handbags, silk, wool, etc. You might still be buying products that are tested on animals, like makeup, cosmetics, cleaning products. You might be buying products that have things like gelatin in them, You might be supporting places like zoos. So vegetarian is just a diet that avoids animal flesh or the meat of the animals, but you're not doing anything for the animals. So the animals are still suffering and being murdered for you. The only way is to be vegan if you want to stop supporting animal cruelty. So that means not only you eat a plant-based diet, you don't buy or use any product that comes from an animal or was tested on animals. So that's the difference between vegetarian and vegan. Vegetarian is just a diet. Veganism is a stance you take against animal cruelty. So as far as possible and practicable, you avoid animal cruelty in your life in all areas. And if you don't know much about the dairy and the egg industry, I recommend that you go on our website, cubeoftruth.com. There are tons of resources on there. There are documentaries that you can watch. I highly recommend watching Dominion, the documentary. You can watch Earthlings. There's much more on there as well. There are speeches that you can watch so you can educate yourself about the dairy and the egg industry if you don't know much about it. My comment about the comments was actually about our Instagram, so no need to get triggered here on Facebook. You can you can ask questions if you have. I wasn't saying don't ask questions. I was just referring to some of the comments that are absolutely horrendous on Instagram. We have just lots of trolls and non-vegans, and some of the comments that just don't make any sense. Not that they don't agree with me. So don't just jump into conclusions. Okay, I think that's enough. So the question was, what do you say to non-vegans that they say they tried to go vegan in the past and it made them really, really sick? So the first thing I would ask is, how long did you try to go vegan? And then they tell me 2 weeks, 3 months, whatever. Then I explain to them how veganism is not something you try, it's not a lifestyle or a diet. So I explain to them the difference between plant-based and vegan. Because when people say I got sick, they mean I got sick because of what I was eating. They don't mean I got sick because I wasn't wearing cow skin, right? So they're not talking about other aspects of veganism, they're only talking about the diet. So we should make that very clear that this is what plant-based means, this is what veganism means. And after you explain to them what veganism is, then go back to what they said about being sick. Ask them specifically, so what were you experiencing? Usually, in my experience, they don't have anything to say. Recently, this actually happened on some of my videos on Instagram. People were saying things like, some people just cannot go vegan because of their health conditions and you shouldn't be forced. I need to get my charger. And so the funny thing is, when you ask people what health condition they have that keeps them from going vegan, they never respond. So I've tried this multiple times. I say, name one health condition that keeps you from going vegan. Crickets, nothing. I don't hear from them after that. Use that as an excuse, just like any other excuse, but we know that they're not being honest. Because with veganism, there are so many ways that you can do your diet. So a plant-based diet could be whole foods, could be eating raw, could be eating mainly raw and some whole foods, could be eating a combination of whole foods and junk food could be just eating junk foods all day, every day. And again, within that, there are different ways that you could do it. So it's not like there's one vegan diet and everyone follows that. It depends how they did it, and maybe because people are conditioned to think that veganism is unhealthy, you're going to be malnourished and you're going to have iron deficiency and all of that, because they have that mindset, they expect that there's something wrong with them as soon as they try eating more plant-based food. And they don't give themselves enough time. Although this wasn't the case for me, and I know for many of you, it's like as soon as you decide that you want to eat vegan food, and you don't even look back, and you're not waiting for health results, you're just like, I'm doing the right thing, I feel good, about my decision. So these people might be thinking, oh, I expect some kind of crazy result, like I want to have more energy, I want to feel better, like I want optimal health, and they don't get that in a week or two, and they blame it on the diet. So first of all, how long did you do it for? Second, what was the exact issue that you had? Were you losing weight? Were you gaining too much weight? Did you lack energy? What were you feeling when you say I got really sick? Did you go see a doctor? What was their, what did they suggest? Did they suggest that you do a blood test? Did they do anything about it? Did they tell you exactly what's wrong with your health? Ask them questions, and usually, again, they don't have anything to say. But if they do say something like, I was low in iron, you go back to the response that we just covered. If they were low in any mineral or vitamin, you can cover that. And and that's it. And then the other thing that you can say is talking about how there are different plant-based diets that you can try. So you could be eating junk food, obviously that's not healthy. A whole foods plant-based diet, even WHO has said, is the healthiest diet on the planet and is suitable for everyone, for babies, for children, for pregnant women, for older people, everyone. That's the ultimate diet for everyone. So you can't go wrong with that. And then depending on that person's condition, if they have some kind of medical condition, then they might need to have some supplements. So some people might, be born with a condition that disables them from absorbing enough iron, for example. So they might need an extra supplement or an infusion, or I don't know. So everyone is different, and we're not here to give people advice. Like, we're not professional dietitians and we're not doctors. Well, some of us might be, and that's not the conversation to have with these people. So you just explain to them and you say to them, veganism is about animals and their right to live. If you're convinced that animal cruelty is wrong and you don't want to be a part of it, you go and do your own research. You make sure that you don't participate in this. You figure it out. If you need to go talk to your doctor, maybe find yourself a plant-based doctor that doesn't just lie to you because they were funded by these industries and they tell you that you can't be vegan. Maybe you just go and do your independent research. Maybe you just, experiment with eating different kinds of food. So that part, you figure it out. But if you are convinced that you wanted to be vegan, then you'll find a way. And that's all you need to say to these people. All right, let's move to the next question. Again, if you want to join AV, you go on our website, cubeoftruth.com, and you can see all of our locations and you can join. We covered vegetarian, so let's see what other arguments we have. Okay, let me... Okay, help me with the arguments if you have any arguments that you like to discuss. What is going live again on my Instagram. Alright, we're back on Instagram. So yeah, let's work on another argument. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Trying to see if I can find something because we have lots of non-vegans here. So many comments, but nothing useful really. Okay, let's try this one. I think this will be the last question for the workshop, and then I'll stay for another half an hour from now. I don't know how long it will take to cover this question, but I'll wait. I'll stay for a bit and I will take questions after this. But in terms of the workshop, this will be the last argument for today. So the argument is, how do you respond to a meat eater saying they can eat animals and still love them? So how do you respond to someone that says, I love animals, but I still eat them? How do you respond to that? Now that I did ask the question, I can see your arguments. We'll keep them for next time. So the question is, well, the argument is, I love animals, but I still eat them. How do you respond to that? It's physically impossible to love animals and still eat them. It's their pets they love, not animals. This is an oxymoron. You can't love and kill. It means they love the taste. You don't kill animals that you love. If you love other humans, you don't kill and eat them. They're separating some animals from others. It's speciesism. Yes, it is. You cannot love animals and eat them. All animal beings must be respected. You don't hurt what you love. Or who you love, I would say. Those people are speciesists. Yes, they are. Saying you love animals when you eat them is like a pedophile saying they love children. How can you justify the suffering, fear, terror, and their death in the name of love? I love that response, Sheila. Perfect. So you should say you love dogs and cats, but I love to eat cows, pigs, chickens, and fish. The love you say you feel is abusing animals. If you are against animal abuse, you will stop eating them. Yes. I mean, could you love your children if you ate them? They love them as pets, the ownership of them, but not the animals for who they are. What do you mean by you love animals? Was it okay that Jeffrey Dahmer ate his victims because he said he loved them all? Yeah, so if someone says, I love animals, but I still eat them. And I guess taking it another step further, especially if you're talking to a hunter, they sometimes say this: I respect animals and I eat them. I respect animals and I kill them. So yeah, I mean, I would like to start by saying veganism has nothing to do with love for the animals. So as a vegan, you don't have to love all animals. You don't even have to have a great relationship with all animals, wanting to be around them, etc. Veganism is about taking a stance against animal cruelty. So, for example, if I'm an anti-racist, does that mean that I love all humans in the way that I want to hang out with all of them, I want to spend time with them, I want to have a relationship with them? No, I may not like a lot of people, and I don't. And I know that everyone feels the same way. Like, you don't like or love every single human being around you. Some people drive you crazy. They're annoying. You don't want to hang out with them. But at the same time, you don't want them to suffer and die. You don't want them to be discriminated against. You don't want them to be oppressed. So veganism has nothing to do with love. It has everything to do with justice and respect for these animals. That's why I made that point about sometimes hunters saying, I respect these animals. I respect my animals that I kill. You don't respect someone while you're taking their life. So it's not about love. It's not necessarily about compassion. You don't have to have compassion for all human beings to not want them to be oppressed. But you do believe in justice and you do respect that they deserve to have a life. These animals are individuals. They need to be able to just experience life. We don't have the right to take their life. It's as simple and logical as that. And that's why we're vegan. So it's impossible to respect someone to take their life, or to love someone is even worse, because when you actually love someone, unless you're a psychopath, you can't kill them. You can't watch them suffer. So a great example was, I can't remember who it was, but they said a pedophile saying, I love children while I'm raping them. I love them. Well, you're causing suffering to them. You're traumatizing them. How could you love them? You're just a psychopath if you do that. If a rapist says the same thing about women, I love all women, that's why I rape them. Well, you're causing harm to them, so you can't be. If a murderer said, I love all of my victims that I kill, it just doesn't make sense. And I love all of you that used in your response, you actually didn't use pets or dogs or cats. You actually used, that's a point as well, but I prefer to make the comparison to the human individuals instead of another animal. So I know that a lot of people that say this are speciesist, meaning they value the life of a cat or a dog over a pig, a cow, a chicken, a fish. I know that. But it's even more powerful if you say, if you love your wife or your child, would you kill them? Would you murder them? Would you eat them? And then the response would be like, oh, well, we don't eat humans, but that's fine. You don't even have to eat them. Do you kill them while you love someone? So that's a stronger point to make. But going back to comparing it with other animals, so a lot of you said, no, the animals that you love are not the same as those animals you eat. So you love dogs and cats, but you eat cows and chickens. So while that's true, and that's fine, we can use that, we have to confirm that before we make that point, because that person may not actually have a cat or a dog at home. And they might, if it comes to it, they might actually say, yeah, I may once try dog meat. People do it in Asia, so be careful when you make that point. And another thing is, I noticed that a few people said pet and owning pets. So I just want to make a point about that. As vegans, and especially as animal rights activists, it's very important what language we use. So referring to animals at home, like cats and dogs, as pets is actually going to harm our message. So let's just use companion animal instead, because when you refer to someone as pet, it's kind of like they're just your pet, like you own them, they're your slave basically. And the other thing is saying you own animals. So, I've even seen people say, people that rescue cats and dogs, they say, I'm looking for a new owner for this beautiful animal. Well, no, because this beautiful dog or a cat is not a slave. They're not looking for an owner. They're looking for a new home. They're looking for, a lot of you who have dogs and cats at home, you refer to them as your children. So that dog or that animal needs a new home, or new parents, or a new carer or caregiver or companion, or whatever it might be, but definitely not an owner. So I just want to make that point quickly. Now, I've got 15 minutes, and depending on how many questions are going to come through, I may actually stay back. So, yeah, that's it for this point about people that say they can eat animals while they love them. That would be my response. I'll quickly go through the comments to see if there's anything to add. Otherwise, I'm going to open the Q&A portion, and so you can ask any question that you have for non-vegans. If you have questions about being vegan, if you're already an activist and you need some tips, if there's something you're struggling with as a vegan, all of those questions I'm happy to take now. So send them through, and I'll just quickly go through the comments to see if I missed anything. that was a nice crack. How do you keep yourself calm for trolls? I mean, how often do you get triggered? I don't get triggered, at least not from comments on social media. How do I do it? I know that trolls are just there to troll, like that's their purpose. That's why they join a live stream for 2 hours. They sit through it and they have no fucking idea what we're talking about, but they still do it. They obviously want the attention, they are bored, they're lonely. I'm not sure. I honestly feel bad when somebody takes the time out of their day, the time that's very valuable, and they go onto a page that they have no interest in, and they join the live stream, they sit through it, they leave a comment that is very hateful and sad and angry. I can only imagine how sad that person's life is, and I genuinely feel bad for them. And yeah, it doesn't really affect me. I don't know how to explain this. It doesn't affect me when someone says, even if they do personal attacks, which they do sometimes. So people dropping emojis of bacons and burgers, that does nothing. Like, it's just like, okay, we see that all the time. And also there's a vegan version for all of that. So actually it doesn't trigger me at all. People that say I love meat, bacon, like that's nothing. But even people that attack me personally, like, oh, you're fat, you're too skinny, you need some meat, you're ugly, wear more makeup, wear less makeup, why do you get so many fillers? Like, people that just make baseless claims and they're just trying to attack me because they just, like I said, they're just sad. It doesn't bother me, and I don't know, that's just how I deal with it. I just ignore it. The only time I block anyone on either my Facebook, Instagram, or on the AV platforms is when somebody is being flat out oppressive. So they use certain words to address other people on the live stream, for example. If they're being racist, sexist, homophobic, etc. If they make those kind of points, that's the only time I will block someone, because I just don't think that they deserve to be able to comment on a public / private, I guess, because your page is your page, even though we're all using social media, which is a public platform, but I have my own page and I set the rules. So that's the only time I block someone. I don't block someone or I don't even respond to them if they're just talking shit, really. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I do recommend that you do meditate if you can, even 5-10 minutes a day. That does help. Doing yoga as well. But also just try to understand that these people are, they must be struggling. So, by saying something harsh to them, you're going to just make their life even worse, but also it might affect yourself. So just ignore them. What can vegan cat caregivers feed them, since cats are carnivores? I do have a video that you can go check out on my Instagram. I think it's actually from one of these live streams. It's called, I think, Vegan Cats and Dogs, something like that. It's just a 2 or 3 minute video. If you just go through my account, I don't have that many posts, so I really recommend that you do that. Or if you want to just message me directly, I'll send the link to you. I have explained it on there perfectly, and I do have links to send you. I can't really give you advice right now, but I know that cats can be vegan, and you just need to do your research, make sure they get everything that they need, and that's it. But either go and check out that video or message me, and I'll be more than happy to send you some links. Thank you for these workshops, Sal, Rami said. Thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoy doing these workshops. Technology, what parts are derived from animals? Is there an alternative? I assume these parts are byproduct of animal slaughter. We wouldn't kill animals to get these parts alone. Sylvia said, thanks for this workshop. Thank you, Sylvia, for joining. Paul, I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest. What parts are derived from animals? I'm not sure what you're referring to. I'm sorry. If you just explain, I may be able to respond. Someone said, as humans, is it correct to change what cats and dogs should eat? Going back to the previous question. Yes, so the thing is, the cats and the dogs that you adopt and you have at home and you're looking after them, they're domesticated animals. You're not talking about a wild cat in nature who can go and hunt, right? You're actually keeping them inside the house. You may take them for a walk, or if you have a cat, you may allow them to go roam around and come back. But still, these are domesticated animals, and also we have bred them into existence, so we're actually responsible for them. It's not like they were just, freely having sex and like it's just natural. This whole process is created by humans, so we are responsible, and we should do our best to end the cycle in a way. So if you do adopt cats, dogs, or any other animals, then the least that you can do is to make sure that they're eating plant-based food, so that other animals, thousands of other animals, are not being tortured and murdered just for this one cat or one dog that you have at home. Because if you buy non-vegan dog food or cat food that has, even if it's the waste from these industries, like even if it's the waste from meat industry, there are hundreds and thousands of animals that are going into those dog foods or cat foods, and you can easily avoid that by doing your research and giving your animal a complete diet that is suitable for them. The next workshop would be next week. So today's Saturday. I think it should be Thursday or Friday. So the next live stream in a few days would be just a general Q&A. And then the next one after that, which should be in about a week, will be another workshop, another interactive workshop. And then after that, I think I am going to go back to doing these live streams once a week instead of twice a week. And so with that, we can I guess we can do both. We can, if we're doing it once a week, we can do maybe the first hour, we can do the workshop, and the second hour we can do Q&A or something like that. We're going to combine it into one. I saw a question and then ran away, disappeared. I love attending your live streams. They are very informative and powerful. Thank you. I really love doing these workshops. Are there any age requirements? I'm assuming you mean for the cube, and the answer is no. You can attend the cube regardless of how old you are. If you want to become an organizer though, you need to be 18 or over. Someone said, hi, what's your name? My name is Asal, A-S-A-L. That's how it's spelled. I probably should have introduced myself at the start. I just assume that everyone knows me when you join these live streams. Please block trolls next time in the comments. Do you know how much time I would need to spend doing that? And it will take away from this. I usually do have a social media team, like one person from our team that helps me with moderating the live streams. But today was just me. But again, I know it's annoying, and I'm sorry that sometimes your comments will get buried under the trolls' comments, but unless someone's being oppressive towards others or they're being, just really disrespectful to you guys, I don't feel like they should be blocked, because maybe they're here because there is a little bit of hope. Maybe they are a bit open to the idea of veganism, and maybe they will go vegan after, joining these live streams, and maybe they will make the connection. So I don't think we should block them. People say phones have animal-derived parts in them. Okay, Paul, I have to say, I don't know anything about that. Send me some information. I don't know anything about mobile phones having animal products in them. I wouldn't be surprised, because we do live in a very fucked up world. But yeah, I've never heard of this one. I find some family members harder to talk to about veganism than strangers. I feel like I'm pushing loved ones away. Should I look at a different approach for these people I care about? I have to admit, my family is not vegan yet, so I may not be the best person to give you advice on this. I do believe that nobody's going to go vegan unless they're ready, regardless of our approach. So I use the same approach or a similar approach with my family and friends that I use on the street with strangers. And the reason why that hasn't worked, I think, is because those individuals are just not ready to hear it. It's not because I'm being too harsh or too soft or anything like that. So I'm sorry that you feel like you're pushing your family members away. I don't think that's the case, because if you truly believe in what you're doing with your activism, then you shouldn't feel bad. I don't think that we should put, human emotions before the lives of these innocent animals. So even though it's a bit uncomfortable, I think you should just keep speaking up about it, and hopefully they will open their eyes very soon. I just cook them plant-based foods and cross my fingers that maybe one day they will make the connection. Yeah, I mean, that's all we can do. We can educate people, whether they're family members, friends, or strangers. We can just educate people provide them with the information, but it always comes down to that person and whether they're ready or not. Thanks as always, Asal. It's always fun to do these. Very good for our outreach. Thank you, Laura. Really appreciate you. All right, so let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap this up. Someone said, will veganism ever end? Excuse me. Veganism will not end, but we are not going to stop until non-vegans leave the animals alone. So until animals are liberated, animal rights activists are going to keep speaking up. But no, veganism is not going to end. I just thought that was a funny question. Again, for those of you who are wondering how you can join AV, go on our website, cubeoftruth.com, and then you'll see all of the locations for our chapters there, and you can join our Facebook group. Okay, great question. When doing outreach during Cube of Truth, how do you approach non-vegans to start a conversation? So at the Cube, and for those of you who don't know what a Cube is, a Cube of Truth is our main campaign that we do as a form of activism. We form a cube, we have activists wearing a mask, and they are forming a cube, so standing shoulder to shoulder and on each side of this cube, and we are showing people footage from these industries, meat, dairy and egg industries, as well as other industries that abuse animals, and we educate the public. So we show them the footage and we outreach them, meaning we talk to them about this stuff. So the way you approach someone is, first of all, you need to, we don't ever chase people, so we always let them come to us. With what we have created with the cube, it's interesting enough for people to get curious and come to check it out, and that was the whole idea. That's why we've set it up this way. So people will come to see what we're doing because they can see the laptops or TV screens. They have a look and they're like, oh, there's footage playing. Okay, they spend some time looking at the footage to figure out what it is that we're showing, because our signs say truth. So they're like, oh, what are they talking about? They're talking about truth. So the perfect time to approach someone is once they have already started watching the footage, and hopefully they have some kind of a reaction to it. They're usually shocked, they might be shaking their heads, sometimes they're even very sad, they might cry. So you wait for them to make sure that they're engaged before you approach them. That's the first step. Once you approach them, you just go and stand next to them without scaring them. I've done this before where I go from behind and I'm like, hi, and they're like, oh, you scared me. So just go and stand next to them, make sure they see you first, and then just say hello like a normal human being, and then just ask them questions. So some of the most common questions that we recommend you use is, would you like to know what we're doing? Or do you know what we're doing? So the reason why we like to start with asking a question is because when you ask someone a question rather than just telling them what we're doing, you're actually getting a commitment out of them. If that person says yes, they've already committed to a conversation. If they say, no, I think I know, and they walk off, you know that you didn't want to waste your time on that individual. So you say, would you like to know what we're doing? And then they say, yeah, tell me about it. And you say, okay, so this is standard practice in whatever industry that is, that specific footage, meat, dairy, egg, whatever. And this happens, all around the world, blah, blah, blah. So you give them information about that footage, and then you ask them more questions. Again, one of the first questions you should ask is, would you say you're against animal cruelty? Usually people say yes. Sometimes people are very smart, so they're like, I know where you're going with this. Unfortunately, I still eat meat, or something like that. So they give you something to work with. And that's how you continue with the conversation. You just ask a lot of questions. Sometimes you need to just make statements and preach for a little bit, but there is a time and a place for that. We don't want to just be preaching. You don't want people to just be looking around while you're talking. You want to make sure that throughout the whole conversation, that person is 100% engaged and they're interested in the conversation. And the way to test that is by asking questions every now and then. So that's basically how you approach someone at a cube. All right, any more questions? How will cubes continue after COVID-19? We'll have to see. At the moment, we have some cubes operating, but all of them are operating with the social distancing guidelines. So activists are not standing shoulder to shoulder. They're using hand sanitizers, etc. I guess slowly, all the cubes will be able to go back, and they will have to, I think, do it a little bit differently. We'll have to see what the guidelines are going to be. All right, let's wrap this up. So again, the next live stream will be in a few days, which will be just a general Q&A, and then the one after that, in about a week, will be an interactive workshop like this one. I don't know the exact dates because I don't do them on the same day every week, so they're usually 3 days apart. So yeah, that's why I don't know exactly when. And also I do them at different times to make sure that people from different time zones can attend, so it's not always too early or too late for some. But we usually make a post about it on Facebook and Instagram, well, make a story about it on Facebook and Instagram about 24 hours before. So just keep an eye out for that one if you want to attend the next one. And all of these live streams will be saved on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram now has the option after a live stream, you can just post it to your IGTV. So that's perfect. You can go and watch it back, but you miss the comments. That's the only thing. So if you missed the first portion of this live stream, you can go back and watch it after it's done on Instagram, or you can go watch it on Facebook if you want to see the Facebook comments, but unfortunately Instagram comments will go away. And that's it. Just want to see if there are any last minute questions. Thank you, you're an inspiration. Thank you. That means the world to me. Too much spamming going on. Yes. Your makeup and hair looks beautiful today, by the way. Do you have a favorite vegan makeup brand? Thank you. I think I've been wearing more makeup during lockdown. Some days I just wake up and I want to put makeup on because I have too much time. Favorite makeup brand is Tarte, which is not fully vegan, but they have a lot of vegan options. And it's clearly labeled as vegan, which makes it a lot easier. Another brand I like is Lime Crime, which is fully vegan. And I also like Too Faced. And also Too Faced is not fully vegan, but they have, if you go on their website, they have a whole page on their vegan products. So yeah, I think those are my favorite makeup brands. And that's it. I'm gonna end this live stream with Paul's comment. Going vegan gets rid of guilt of animal suffering. It feels great. Yes, it does. The only regret is not going vegan, I guess. That's the feeling we all share. We all wish that we went vegan earlier when we were younger. All right. Thank you all so much for joining me for this live stream again. I love doing these workshops, and I learn a lot from discussing all these arguments with you all. So I hope that this was useful to you as well. If you're living in a city that cubes are operating, I hope that you can join us on the streets. If not, just make sure you do some vegan activism, some online activism every day. Just use your social media to educate everyone and keep speaking up for the animals. And that's it. Much love, everyone. Take care.